can do more than 10 pull-ups. I've started weighted calisthenics and can hold a handstand for 10 seconds, but I still feel like I made barely any progress. If this sounds like you, then you're officially an average calisthenics athlete, which is why in this video, I'm gonna break down why that happens and what to do next. Getting right into it, let's start off with the first reason to why you're average in calisthenics. Number one, you don't have a clear training goal. A lot of people fall into the trap of doing everything under the sun, but getting nowhere. You say you want to learn the handstand push-ups, but your training plan looks like this: weighted dips, wall handstand push-ups, pike push-ups, and no actual time spent upside down without the wall. That's like learning how to shoot a soccer ball in the nets, but you're only practicing with the ball being stationary. And if y'all played soccer before, then you know exactly how ineffective that way of training is, because you need to be able to learn how to shoot a moving ball in the net. What I'm trying to say is ultimately, training needs to be specific, more specific than you think. If you're not applying direct training for the skill that you're chasing, then you're simply hoping for carryover. And relying too much on hope is not a strategy for success. You have to put in the correct work first and then hope for the best. So ask yourself these questions. What exactly am I trying to achieve? And am I training for that specifically? This then leads on to the second reason: inconsistency and progression hopping. Building upon the first point that I made, not having a clear and defined plan with conviction that this plan is something that is actually going to work. It's been already proven. Having that lack of certainty in the plan can lead you to start, for example, a solid handstand push-up routine that you're being consistent with. But after a few weeks of doing this handstand push-up routine, you get bored, you don't really see the results that you're looking for, and you get impatient and you start jumping on to the next variation or progression. So you find yourself doing handstand push-ups on the wall, then freestanding attempts without the wall. Then you get demotivated because you can't do it, so you do elevated pike push-ups, then. This right here is a aimless handstand push-up journey. Gaining skill and strength in calisthenics is built upon two pillars: training frequency and consistency. If you don't stick with the progression long enough to get stronger at it, you're not going to be training to make progress. You're simply exercising. Progressions are there for a reason, to help you understand them and master them. So stick to them, be patient, and let your body adapt. Now, the third reason to why you are still an average calisthenic athlete is because your programming does not adapt. You can't use the exact same sets and rep scheme, but expect different and more impressive results. Using the same example that I provided with the handstand push-ups, most people who are training the handstand push-ups without the wall, when they get into it, they can, do one single rep, whether it's clean or not clean, it doesn't matter. They're just able to do one rep without the wall. And more often than not, people get stuck in this phase where they're able to do an attempt without the wall, again, irregardless of form. And sometimes they can't even do it without the wall. Sometimes it's just a failed attempt. So the question now becomes, how do you actually build strength from there? And it's simple. There's two ways to approach it that makes so much more sense when you break it down this way. The first is to actually regress the movement to a progression that allows you to train it for volume, meaning for multiple repetitions in that same set, which is, I think, the approach that a lot of people are aware of and actually do implement. So if you are doing this, congrats. You recognize that, hey, the first handstand push-up progression that I'm doing is too difficult. I can only do one rep. Therefore, what makes the most logical sense is to regress the movement to something that's more easier, like, for example, handstand push-up negatives or handstand push-ups on the wall. However, what most people are missing is the fact that you still need to train the freestanding handstand push-ups in it itself. But what you need to do is apply that training in a specific and defined set and rep scheme in phases. For example, you need a phase of training for 5 sets of singles, and you want to build up to a point where you're doing 10 sets of singles. This is also another way of building strength, but in a more specific manner. But you also want to keep in mind that your long-term goal is to do 3 sets of 8 to 10 reps. So you might start off with 5 sets of 1 rep, then build up to 10 sets of 1. which gets you to completely master how to accomplish a strong single rep. And more than likely, you'll have the strength and ability to do 1 or 2 or even more, but the form may not just be as clean as that first initial rep, which is important to know and also not the focus of the first phase. The point that I'm trying to make is that you need to have an adaptive program. You need to have a way to progress the way you train in the sense of the set and rep and intensity and frequency and volume type of approach whenever you're doing the handstand push-up training. Not every skill or strength movement can be applied and trained with the exact same format. One must adjust the volume, intensity, and frequency and progression, right, in order to apply it based on where are you currently at in your given strength level. You know, what is your weaknesses? What are your strengths? These are all things that needs to be taken into account. So if you're looking for a more in-depth analysis on how you're currently training, then be sure to book a free consultation call so you have the opportunity to discuss exactly how you're training. What goals are you trying to achieve? What's working? What's not working? So that way, my team and I can help discuss efficient ways to get you out of that average calisthenics strength phase. Be sure to click the link in the description or check the pinned comments to book your free 15-minute consultation call. So why are most people stuck in this average calisthenics strength phase? To summarize it, the first one is there's no clear and defined plan for your training. The second one, you're inconsistent and not really focused in your training. The third and final one, you're applying stubborn programming that never adapts. If you fix these 3 things, your training progress and results will significantly change in the next 90 days. Now, these 3 main points doesn't necessarily mean it encompasses everything to why you're average, but it is something that's been common amongst the clients and community members that I spoke with in regards to what they did before they started working with me. Also, if you found this video relatable and helpful, then I would really appreciate if you drop the comments and just give me an example of what is it that you're currently struggling with in calisthenics. I'm sure a lot of people will relate to this and find some kind of benefit in regards to your experience.
Cobra trains, he's up next. Make sure y'all subscribe to him. He's #1 out here.
He's the toughest fitness guy out here.